Dennis Allen recaps the Saints' loss to the Vikings. What a treat. I can't wait to hear how Dennis Allen is going to fix this team. Maybe next we can hear from the guy who built the Titanic on how he plans to fix the leak in my roof. Unreal. Let's go ahead and listen to what Dennis has to say for himself.
Today, again, particularly in the first half of the game, I've got to find a way to get this team to be more consistent. So that's on me.
Oh, they're consistent. Oh, Dennis, you're too humble. You've actually made the team incredibly consistent. You actually have been the most consistent head coach in the history of the NFL. You are officially the most consistently bad, consistently losingest head coach in the history of the NFL. Unbelievable consistency, and the team now is just like you. The team is consistent. We consistently don't beat teams we're supposed to. We consistently get absolutely dog-walked in the first half of games. We consistently let mobile quarterbacks run all over us, do whatever they want. We consistently screw up the scheme and the game plan that doesn't allow our playmakers to get the ball, much less even do anything with the ball. They can't even get it. So I actually would say y'all have been pretty consistent. I would say well done so far. If we're shooting for just consistency, I would say we have met that goal of being consistent.
I'll have to do a better job, so I'll take your questions.
What's been the biggest issue with the slow starts early on the side?
I hate when they don't mic up the person asking the question, so I'll try and for the ones that are really quiet, I'll try and paraphrase. So that guy asked, what's the reason for the slow start?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think the bigger thing really has been, our inability on first and second down to do a better job of getting them into third and longer situations. We're allowing too many first and second down conversions, not forcing enough, third downs early on in games. So struggled again with the quarterback today.
Yep, sure did. Yeah, absolutely. Josh Dobbs looked like one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, well, I say that, but Tyson Bagent looked like one of the best quarterbacks I had ever seen in my life. And then the week before that, Gardner Minshew looked like one of the best quarterbacks I had ever seen in my life. And then the week before that, Trevor Lawrence looked like one of the best quarterbacks I had ever seen in my life. And then the week before that, C.J. Stroud. And then before that, Jordan Love. There's a theme. Dennis, for being such a defensive mastermind, I'm starting to get a little confused here. I'm starting to get confused on how you can't figure out how to stop these quarterbacks from basically doing whatever they want.
We had some opportunities to get him on the ground. We didn't cash in on those opportunities.
No, we did not.
We had some guys that were, spying him, and he made some plays. So, but yeah.
The spy on Dobbs whenever he ran for the touchdown, that's like calling Mr. Bean a spy. Or like calling Inspector Gadget a spy or something. Like James Bond's a spy, right? Whatever Alontae Taylor was doing on the touchdown run, if that is a quarterback spy, it's definitely the Mr. Bean version. It is not the Pierce Brosnan and James Bond version of a spy.
Yeah, we got to do a better job. Offensively, I thought we ran the ball early in the game pretty effectively.
What? We did what? Dennis ran the ball pretty effectively early in the game. My brother in Christ, it was 21-3 in the second quarter. Taysom Hill had 1 carry. Derek Carr had more yards than Taysom Hill. Alvin Kamara ran the ball 9 times. What are you talking about? We ended the game with a 4.3 yards per carry. We ran the ball pretty well to start the game. You just got rolled by the Vikings. We're a minute into this, and you're saying that we ran the ball well to start? That's where you go? That's the first place you go?
And then all of a sudden you're chasing points. It becomes a little bit more difficult to do. So I think just as a team, we've got to do a better job of being more competitive in first halves of games. Our guys, fought their tails off to give themselves a chance, but can't keep digging yourself into these holes and think you're going to be able to come back all the time.
For a team that's as bad offensively as we are, it's crazy that it's like, how can that even be a mindset that the team could think, let's just dig ourselves into a hole, and then our stellar offense will pull us out of it. We're not the Chiefs. I mean, we're not the Bengals here. Like, in what universe is this team, this offense, when are they an offense where it's like, oh yeah, they'll dig us out of it. Don't worry. We're down 20-21 in the second quarter. Don't worry. This offense is out of control. We'll come back.
We'll say anything about what happened with Derek.
He was evaluated for a concussion.
Yeah, Derek got blasted. High-low hit. He was evaluated for concussion. Also a right shoulder injury, but I believe the concussion evaluation is why he was actually taken out of the game.
I can't really talk about it or elaborate on it. That's.
I was going to ask you about the right shoulder. Is that anything related to his last injury?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That this reporter asked about the right shoulder injury. He said, "Is it the same injury as the AC sprain?"
We'll look at it, but he was out of the game because he was evaluated for a concussion. So
there you go.
Has he been able to do any testing on the shoulder because of the concussion, or is that?
They said, have they done any testing on the shoulder or not been able to because of the concussion? Which makes sense. Like, if you're worried about a concussion, you're not going to be asking him to do anything, physical to test out his shoulder. But those questions don't matter at all. I mean, I guess they mattered in the long term, but they should be grilling this man. They should be grilling him about the state of this team. If it was me, oh my God, I'd be salivating on the microphone, just letting it rip. The last thing I would be doing is asking about shoulder stretches or whatever. I'd be firing off. Why does Taysom Hill have 1 carry? Why did Olave have 0 targets in the first half? Why does Josh Dobbs look like Joe Montana mixed with Cam Newton? What are we doing? Why are we down? Why are we giving up 20 points every single first half? What's the difference in the first half and the second half? What's the adjustment being made that can't be made game planning during the week? Do y'all even game plan during the week? What's going on here?
Listen, I don't know all the answers to that. I think, we'll see where he's at tomorrow.
Dave, why do you think you guys respond so well? Like, you get behind and then things kind of start flowing a little bit on both sides. Why do you think it's...
Yeah, I don't really...
That question was, why do y'all respond so well late? Because in the second half, we have been better. The defense has been better in the second half. The offense scored in the second half. They actually existed in the second half of this game. So I guess they looked better too. That's the question.
I don't really know what the answer is to that. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know what.
That's not good. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. That's not good. If we're 10 games into the season and we are doing the same thing every single week, and we have a head coach who has been a head coach in the NFL for over 70 games or whatever it is, and he doesn't have an answer to a problem we've had for basically the whole season, that's pretty bad. That's a bad situation.
What the answer is to that. I'd like to think that we could, start a little faster, get the momentum going a little bit quicker. I do know our guys are, never feel like they're out of it. I do know that they're going to continue to fight and battle. But like I said,
don't care. I don't care. That's good. Cool. No one ever doubted the heart of this team. I don't care. I don't care that we're playing hard down 21. I'm more concerned that we're down 21. I'm not okay with, well, we fought hard. Well, our guys were there until the end. Well, we have a warrior spirit. That doesn't matter when you're down 21 to teams you should beat. That doesn't matter when you give up on average, like extrapolated, 600 yards of offense. They had 300 yards of offense in the first half. I don't care that we have a lot of heart, that we have a lot of passion. Why are we basically giving up what would equal to 600 yards of total offense for the game in the first half to Joshua Dobbs?
we can't keep digging ourselves into these holes, especially against a good football team.
That's just it. They aren't good. None of these teams are good. The Colts aren't good. The Packers aren't good. The Vikings aren't good. The Bears aren't good. So why are we doing this to not good teams? We aren't playing the Eagles, the Niners, the Chiefs, the Ravens. We're not playing those teams. If we were playing good teams, if Josh Dobbs was on pace to have 600 yards of total offense, imagine what the Chiefs would have done.
Look, I thought Jameis did.
I'm not sure what that reporter just asked. So I know it was low. It was low for me too.
Did some good things in the game, got a couple of explosive plays. We were able to score a couple of times.
I guess it was about Jameis. Jameis was, I mean, it is what it is. Like, he has some absolutely horrific throws, just straight up missing people, throwing the ball nowhere near the receivers. The last interception was really bad. It was like thrown into quadruple coverage. But he does give you a puncher's chance. Like, he is going to push the ball downfield. There is bad. There was a couple of good throws. I guess you could say they were good throws, like the Olave catch and the A.T. Perry catch. They're 50-50 balls, amazing catches. Kudos to Jameis for getting us back in the game, but I mean, mixed bag.
Touchdowns,
I would say he was probably better than Carr. Carr was awful. I think Carr was terrible in this game. Jameis was better than Carr in this spot, but
point conversions. I thought there was some good things that he did in terms of in the passing game. It's obviously a tough situation to come into.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're down that many points and the team really kind of knows that you're going to have to throw the ball. So I thought under all those circumstances, I thought he did a good job. I thought
he was fine.
Chris and A.T. made some nice plays for him. There were probably a couple of opportunities that I thought that we might could have cashed in on, but I thought overall I was pleased with what he was able to do under those circumstances.
Was it enough to make you evaluate that position after the bye week?
That question was it enough to evaluate that position for after the bye week? I've said this before. Unless Carr is like throwing the game, unless he has a game where he has 4 interceptions or something like that, you can't bench him. You can't bench him. You have too much capital invested into him. Even if you think it's the same, or even if you think, let's say Carr, if you believe Carr is a C, flat C, and you believe Jameis is a C+, you have to play Carr. Because the capital you invested into him balances out the difference. So you would have to think Jameis is like a B+, and Carr is like a C- or a D+ for you to even think about it. In my opinion, there's not enough of a reward for you to bench Derek Carr. If all things are equal, if Carr's hurt, obviously it's a different story. But there's just, this is a different video for a different day. But like when you're looking at quarterback changes, you usually it's because you either make a change like the Titans did because you're making a play for the future. But I don't think that's what the Saints see in Jameis. They don't see a future possibility. There's no option of like, oh yeah, Jameis is the franchise quarterback moving forward. Derek is the franchise quarterback moving forward. You already paid him. You already made that decision. So for the next couple of years, you have to play Derek unless the other option is way better. And I don't think Jameis is way better. Jameis might be better than Derek Carr. Might be. That might be worth a conversation. Like, is he actually better? I don't know, but he's not that much better to where you play him because of the capital. So, it's a very polarizing thing, the Jameis versus Derek or whatever. But I think people misunderstand like roster building or why certain players play and other players don't. They can't factor in like capital invested into certain players. They don't factor in like, short term versus long term, things like that. So if you're begging for Jameis to get a chance, or you think Jameis would be a huge upgrade or a difference maker, I don't know. I think that might be. I would say I think that's off base.
As far as the starter.
Well, we'll see where Derek's at. I mean, I don't think we're. Well, I know we're not in a competition there. I thought Jameis did some good things, but Derek Carr's our starting quarterback.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's obvious.
Yes.
And another thing too with that, like something else you got to factor in too, is like Dennis understands he's under pressure, or I would think he does. So Dennis understands like, okay, I'm under pressure to win now. I have to win now, or I'm going to get fired. He went and got his guy. When he got Derek Carr, he knows, or he knew then, this is the guy I'm getting to try and save my job. So the last thing Dennis is going to do is risk all that to play Jameis, because if he moves to Jameis, all of a sudden he's like, we have to win. Like, we have to win with Jameis, or I'm really going to get fired, because now I've made the choice to go get Derek. That didn't work out. So if I make the change there, that looks even worse, right? So you also got to factor that in. It's not as simple as, oh, Jameis is an 84 overall and Derek is an 81 overall. Just play Jameis. It's not that easy.
Yeah. He's got a knee injury.
What did T.J. Hockenson do, especially in the first half, that kind of gave y'all trouble?
Well,
so I asked about T.J. Hockenson. T.J. Hockenson had 130 yards in the first half. The Saints had 110 yards in total offense. T.J. Hockenson was an absolute menace in the first half.
look, he's an exceptional route runner, and so he ran some good routes and got open.
Yes, that's something else that's kind of crazy, is that with the injuries the Minnesota Vikings had, why in the world did you let T.J. Hockenson have 130 yards receiving in the first half? Did we not think, like, hey, maybe we should stop T.J. Hockenson? I mean, no offense to T.J. Hockenson, but he's not Travis Kelce. He's not prime Antonio Gates. He's good, but my God, brother, Justin Jefferson is out. Kirk Cousins is out. Osborne is not playing. It is Addison, Hockenson. Stop Dobbs from running around. That's it. Easier said than done, sure, but I mean, we were on. If you just looked at halftime, Hockenson is on pace for almost 250 yards receiving, and the Vikings are on pace for almost 600 yards of total offense.
We struggled to be able to cover him today.
Yes,
I'll
you
go
did.
back and look at the tape and see if there's some things that maybe we could have done differently, but he obviously was a major factor in the game.
One of the worst answers I've ever heard. One of the worst answers I've ever heard. We'll have to go back and look at the tape and see. Let's re-listen to that just so I don't misquote him, because I'm actually absolutely befuddled.
Struggled to be able to cover him today. I'll go back and look at the tape and see if there's some things that maybe we could have done differently, but he obviously was a major factor in the game.
Imagine you're a defensive mastermind and you're asked, why did T.J. Hockenson have whatever it was, 130 yards receiving in the first half, and you say, well, I'll have to look at the tape and see if there was something we could do different. See if there's something you could have done different. You're telling me that there was no other option? Like, you're telling me that you'll have to take a look under the hood? You'll have to check? You'll have to check and see if maybe you could have changed some coverage, or maybe you could have game planned differently to not allow that guy to almost have on pace to break the single game receiving record? That's the craziest answer in the world. Hey, Dennis, newsflash. Obviously, there's something you could have done different. I mean, it's ridiculous that this guy's answers are, yeah, he had a pretty good game. We know. That's why we're asking you the question. We know he had a good game. That's why we're asking you why you couldn't stop him. The answer can't be, yeah, he caught a lot of passes today. Brother, the question was, why did he catch so many passes? You're just answering with what happened. His answer to the question, his answer to why did you let TJ Hawkinson have so many catches and yards? His answer to that question was, TJ Hawkinson sure did have a lot of catches and yards. Yes, agreed. Now, do you think you could have stopped that?
Yeah, it impacted some things that we were, wanting to do. I thought A.T. Perry came in and performed well, but I think anytime you lose a guy of, Mike's magnitude, it affects what you're doing.
Dennis, I know you talked about the slow starts defensively, but do you feel like overall the unit has regressed this season?
Not as good, not progressed or regressed.
Regressed.
Yeah, I don't.
Regressed defensively? It's weird. It's a mixed bag. Okay, my initial thought would be yes, they've regressed because they're getting rolled in these games. Like, the second half is good, but at the beginning of the year, we were giving up, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 points a game. We had whatever it was, 13 straight games, maybe even longer, of holding teams under 20 points, right? Well, we went from that to now we just give up 20, 25 points in the first half, and then we stop them in the second half. The second half is cool, but you still give up 25 points. You know what I mean? So they have regressed in totality because they're giving up way more points and way more yardage, but they are showing signs that they can be really good. The Saints defense, it's always the same story. If they don't force turnovers, there's a problem. Because they're so aggressive, they basically give a free full length of the field up in penalties every game. So if they're not taking the ball away, it's pretty difficult for that defense to be good. That's what they've kind of shown, is that they have to be taking the ball away, because they're not really sacking the quarterback. They do pressure the quarterback. Like, we saw Dobbs under pressure, but he was escaping and he was extending the play with his legs. They had maybe 2 sacks, something like that, but they're not like a sack-heavy team. They definitely need to force turnovers. So, yeah, I would say they've regressed. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think we're playing as well as we're capable of playing. So, yeah, I don't think we're playing as good as we're capable of playing. I think we need to play better.
Another absolute masterclass of Dennis Allen. I'm gonna have to get on blood pressure medicine. Honestly, I'm gonna have to get on some kind of blood pressure medicine by the end of the season. I can feel my eyes twitching. Imagine you give up in the first half. You give up 300 yards of total offense. You are down 21 in the first half to a team that you're the favorite. You're supposed to beat this team. You just did the exact same thing against the Chicago Bears. And you have a 19-45 record as a head coach. And imagine you got the guts to sit up there, look these reporters in the face, and say, yeah, we're not really playing as good as we could. No, Dennis, we are not. We certainly are not playing as good as we could. We all understand that. We all know that. We all are feeling that. Do you maybe have any answers why? Do you have any answers why we're not playing as good as we are? Do you have any answers why we're 5-5? Do you have any answers why the defense is getting cooked in the first half? Like, it's going to come down to Dennis is going to get fired, and the last thing he's going to say is like, yeah, I'm not really coaching as good as I could have coached. Well, you might want to. You might want to figure it out. You might want to get the team to play, as good as they can. You might want to game plan as good as you can. You want to factor that kind of stuff in, because losing, being 30 games under 500 as a head coach, not super ideal. Giving up 300 yards of offense in the first half, not super awesome. So, it might be time now that we're 10 games into the season. We'll be in week 12, the next game. Maybe at some point we start to do some of the things you're talking about here.
Dennis, was Hawkinson doing a lot of zone beater stuff, or do you guys have man on?
No, I think he beat us.
This guy asked, was Hawkinson doing a bunch of zone beater stuff, or was it a bunch of man stuff? I'm not sure. I mean, I can't imagine that. Why ask that question?
In zone, he beat us in man. You know, he beat us on a few things.
Is there anything you can say about? Sorry, I know we're going down a list of injuries. Is there anything you can say about Lattimore and what happened to him?
He's got an.
They asked about Lattimore. He got rolled up on. It looked pretty nasty. It looked like an ankle. I think he had his shoe off. But yeah, looked pretty bad. Hopefully he's all right. You never want to see a guy get rolled up on by, I think Roach is who rolled him up.
Ankle. So Mike Thomas, any issues really coming out of the game, you know, really is Mike, you know, with the knee and Lattimore with the ankle.
Yeah. And Derek
then
with the
obviously,
head.
you know,
Yeah.
Carr, you know, is in the concussion protocol.
Yes.
Well, look, the focus for the
Question was, what are you going to focus on this week during the bye week? I cannot wait to hear this answer. I cannot wait to hear what Dennis has to tell us here.
kind of reset again, get their bodies healthy. So there's a lot of rehab that's going to be going on, you know, over this next week. Try to get guys healthy and get back. And then us as coaches, we got to look at how we can put some better plans together to give our guys more opportunities to be successful.
Do you feel like it comes at a good time?
Weren't they just saying this? Weren't they just saying we gotta figure out as coaching staff what we're doing wrong, what we're doing whatever? Wasn't that a conversation we were having after the Green Bay game? Like, wasn't that the last time the sky was falling, and we were all kind of really putting the whatever it is, what is it called, what's the glass that you put over your eye? Magnifying glass. When we were, I'm telling you guys, this team's killing me. When we had the magnifying glass on the coaches, isn't that what they were saying? Like, oh, well, we just got to figure out how we're game playing. We got to be better. We got to do this. We got to do that. We can't have that multiple times in a season.
Yeah, look, I mean, play a game like this, you kind of want to reset a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if it comes at a good time or not. You know,
I don't know. Hell if I know.
We'll evaluate, you know, kind of this tape and
Sweet.
see what we can do better, and
Cool.
then we gotta get ready for Atlanta.
Dennis, can you live with the interceptions at the end with Jameis just because of the situation y'all are in, or do you want him not to make those things?
He asked about the interceptions with Jameis. I think he was saying, like, do you even factor those in? What do you do with those? I mean, again, like, I understand Jameis is like forcing the ball. He has to make plays. He's coming from behind. He's cold, all that stuff. But the last one was bad. You know, the last one was real bad. The last one was one of those things where it's like, hey, man, what exactly were you looking at? Like, what did you see? I don't know if he was just like, I don't know if it's one of those situations where he's thinking, you know, situation where back's against the wall, we got to just put the ball up, try and let someone make a play. I don't know if that's it. I don't know. But I mean, long term, yeah, you tell them, look, I mean, you got to look for something else. But I don't think coming out of this game with the way the Saints are this season, with how much is going on, that's pretty low in the totem pole as far as like issues to fix.
Look, without seeing the whole thing, you know, I'll probably reserve judgment on that. You know, again, you know, when you're in those situations and you know, you're kind of in a little bit of desperation mode, you know, sometimes those things happen. So
Yeah.
They've shown a lot of success with Taysom the last few weeks, but only had one rush today. Was part of that a product of getting down?
yeah,
All right. We're 7.5 minutes into this, and they finally ask, Taysom had 1 carry. WTF? And they asked, was that a product of being down? And he said yes. I mean, I just think it's like, I understand you're down, so you're not trying to run the football. I understand that. But that is your best thing you have going. That's the best thing you have going on your offense. So instead of the like line of scrimmage passes that we do all the time, instead of throwing the ball 1 yard down the field, maybe those Taysom carries would be better than those plays. So instead of dialing up the Jawan Johnson 1-yard curl route, let Taysom do something. Or with Derek Carr being injured, maybe it's time to focus Taysom in the offense even more. Split him at quarterback with Jameis. I'm not saying to make Taysom throw the ball all over the place, but have him in there. That's the time to be creative. That's the time to really empty the playbook. Is whenever it's like, look, guys, we got to score. So we got to do everything we got. What's the Taysom play we have where he's throwing the ball? That worked last week. Let's do that. Hey, let's get some gadget stuff in here with Taysom. It's 2nd and 7. We need to pick up 5 yards here. What do we got? Taysom runs are pretty sweet. It's time to experiment. Like, it's time to use it all. It's not like you can't say, oh, we're down, so we're just going to have Jameis drop back and just huck it up. That's not an offense. That's not the offense. And honestly, at the end of the game, for a stretch there, you were down 8. You're down 8 with whatever it was, 8 minutes left. I mean, if you go back and look at the box score, check the exact time, but it's a 1-possession game with a couple possessions left. Run your offense. I'm not telling you to run Taysom power heavies, but use him. Use Taysom to throw. Like, that makes the Jameis packages even better too. You know, Jameis is coming in cold. He's coming in off the bench. How about we help him out? How about we help Jameis out by letting Taysom get in there and be a change of pace? Now the defense has to be ready for Taysom to throw, to run, whatever. Have Taysom throw some of the short route stuff instead of Jameis. You know, like, there's a lot you can do there. I don't understand why it's so hot or cold with these guys. Like, I don't understand where everything... That is another product, I think, of bad coaching, where in order for them to do what they want to do, the game script has to be perfect. They got to be up, they got to be winning, they got to be doing this, they got to be doing that. When good coaches and good teams are down, they still run what they're doing. They still, like, the Eagles are a great example. If you watch the Eagles and they're losing, do they just give up on what they do? No. They do what they want to do regardless of the game script. That's because they're good. That's because they know what they want to do. The Saints, here's a good way to put it. The Saints scheme is dictated by the other team. That is the sign of horrific coaching. That's the sign of really bad coaching. If your plan is completely controlled by the other team, that is not good. That's not good at all. You should be doing what you want to do and force them to stop it. And if they do stop it, do something else you want to do. And then just keep rotating that. But it shouldn't be, oh, we're down. So the Vikings have scored. Thus, we have to totally scrap the Taysom plays. That's what they want you to do. They want you to scrap the Taysom plays. You can't have a scheme. You can't have an offense and then all of a sudden say, damn, we're down 21. Let's now completely flip the offense into just strictly a drop back and throw it air raid offense. When have you ever seen a team do, like, when do you see good teams do that? When do you see good teams just transform and cut parts of their offense out just because of what's happening in the game? Like, that makes no sense to me. Those answers, everything they say is so illuminating of the problem. You know, like Chris Olave. So what exactly happened in the first half where he didn't have a target? What was the problem? Because the game script should say, damn, we're down 21. We should be throwing. Chris Olave should have a ton of targets. So how can the game script simultaneously eliminate Taysom and Chris Olave? That's pretty wild. And that's pretty tough to have some kind of scheme, some kind of game plan to where you've inadvertently, or I guess maybe not even inadvertently, you've eliminated your two best offensive players. Like, your two best weapons have been totally eliminated. In the first half, that game script flow is impossible. The down 23, okay, I can see how that would eliminate Taysom running the ball. But how does it eliminate Taysom running the ball, and it also eliminates you getting the ball to your best receiver? Riddle me that.
So quickly.
Yeah. I think when you get down like that so early in the game, it really limits a lot of things that you want to try to be able to accomplish in a game. And so, you know, we got to be better defensively of keeping the score down, you know, in the game, in the early part of the game, so we can have a, you know, what we have as our game plan going in offensively. You know, you kind of get out of it, you know, probably by the, you know, early part of the second quarter, just because you're now chasing points.
The sort of boost in production in the second half of the offensive side, did that come down more to execution, or did you all find something?
Talked about this guy asked, is the boost in the offense in the second half, did y'all find something, or was it execution or whatever? My man, like, the success in the second half was we were down. We were hucking the ball all over the place. We threw 2 50-50 passes, and the wide receivers made unbelievable catches. That was the success we had in the second half. That's it. There was no execution. There was nothing happening. We were just launching the ball around. We're down 21 points. The Vikings are playing prevent. They're playing a soft shell defense, and we got fortunate with a couple of one-on-one balls. That's not success. That's not an offense. Like, there's nothing that we did in the second half that was great or sustainable. It's just two things that happen. You know, like, it's the exact same thing as if we threw a Hail Mary at the end of the fourth quarter, and the question was, the passing game seemed to pick up at the end of the fourth quarter. That's not the passing game. Like, that Hail Mary is not sustainable over weeks. The 2 passes Jameis threw for touchdowns, those are not sustainable. Those aren't part of the offensive game plan. It's not part of the scheme. They just happened. So it's nothing to do with the second half versus the first half. It was just the game flow of being down, the Vikings playing off, and then the 2 one-on-one balls. You know, if anything, Jameis saved Carmichael and Allen. Because if those 2 touchdowns don't happen, we might see Carmichael gone. Because we would have got blanked. It would have been whatever, 24 to 3 would have been the final. And we'd be going into a bye, which is a perfect time to can somebody, and Pete Carmichael probably would have got fired. So the only thing that those 2 touchdowns did was probably save Carmichael's job for another week.
A different way to attack it.
Yeah, I think probably, you know, just a little bit of both. You know, we had a couple of thoughts coming out of halftime of things that we liked, and, you know, I thought our guys executed those things a little bit better, and you know, some of the tempo stuff again was pretty good for us.
And would you say similarly, like, kind of both those things on the defensive side as well, where some scoring come down?
Yeah, I think that was.
They asked about the defense. Did they figure something else out?
I think that was a lot more about, you know, getting our eyes in the right spot and our execution, more so than it was a kind of a change in philosophy or.
Terrible answers. I mean, just bad answers. Just bad answers all around. Bad answers all around. Bad. I mean, look, guys. I mean, we cannot win as a franchise. We cannot have sustained success as a franchise if this is our coaches. Just bottom line. It's not good enough. It is not good enough in the NFL that this is what we have going on. You know, so tough game. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these answers. Again, sorry for the audio for the people asking the questions. If you want to know what they said, if you want, you know, I can go back and take a little listen. Let me know in the comments below. I'll try and help you out. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video, ladies and gentlemen.